crave now has a loyalty program that allows fans to earn credit back. Go to the App Store or Google Play, download the Vivid Seats app, and enter promo code ESPN25 for 10% off your next order. Also, prep your engine for winter with Pennzoil Synthetic Motor Oil, the first motor oil made from natural gas, not crude oil. The proof is in the Pennzoil. My honor and privilege, as always, to have my next guest on the line. Contributor to First Take, contributor to NFL Live on ESPN several times during the week. Obviously, an NFL analyst extraordinaire for the family, the one and only Damien Woody, two-time Super Bowl champions, on the line with us right now. What's going on, big boy? How are you, man?
Man, I'm good, my brother. How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Let's get right into it. Tonight's game, Seattle, L.A. Both you and I said we've got Seattle winning this game. Tell us why you feel that way.
Yeah, listen, there's a couple things, Stephen A. One, it's a short week. I can tell you, as being a former player and playing these type of games, it's very hard on your body. You go out there, you had a tough loss against the Tampa Bay Bucks where you lose 55-40, I believe the score was, and then you got to turn right back around on a short week play on a Thursday night game up in Seattle in a hostile environment. That's number one. Number two, when you look at the Los Angeles Rams, particularly on offense, they're struggling mightily up front on the offensive line. That's really been their strength. One of their strengths the past few seasons was the offensive line, and that's why Jared Goff has played so well the past couple of seasons. Obviously, Todd Gurley has been one of the premier backs in the National Football League, but if you can't get the movement up front, you can't open those holes of Todd Gurley, then it just really hampers what the Los Angeles Rams like to do best, which is a run and play action pass, and that's where they're struggling right now.
When you look at the Rams, I mean, is it really about Todd Gurley? Is it as simple as that, or are there other things that you're seeing that are very, very flagrant? Like, for example, Pro Football Focus has the Los Angeles Rams, the reigning defending NFC champions, is having the worst offensive line in football thus far. Talk to me about that. You're obviously very, very familiar with that position.
Yeah, man. They when you watch the tape of the Los Angeles Rams, one of the plays they like to do a lot is what they call this outside stretch run play, because they mimic that play in the play action pass game, and they're just not executing that play like they've been doing the past couple of seasons under Sean McVay. And because of that, because they're not getting effective blocking up front, combine that with Todd Gurley and Malcolm Brown and company, the running back position, it just puts a lot of pressure on Jared Goff, basically making him one-dimensional and having him throwing the ball all over the field. Hell, he had 68 pass attempts last week against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's not what you want to do with Jared Goff. Again, you want to run the ball. So to me, it starts up front with the big fellas up front. If the Rams really want to get rolling again, those guys, those big uglies up front, got to get it going.
Damien Woody right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Are either of these teams the best teams in the NFC West right now, particularly with San Francisco being 3-0 on the season thus far?
I'm not totally sold on San Francisco right now. They're doing a lot of things well defensively. They're playing pretty well. Jimmy Garoppolo is doing a pretty good job of managing that offense. But I love the pedigree. Listen, Russell Wilson is playing the best football of his career right now. If you look at his numbers, he's putting up the best numbers right now of his career. So the running game of the Seattle Seahawks is not where it's been. That's where it's been the past few years. But Russell Wilson by himself can carry this team into the postseason. And obviously with the Rams, they have so many talented players that you can never count the Los Angeles Rams out. So, yeah, the 49ers are 4-0, but I don't know if I'm ready to anoint them the kings of the NFC West yet.
Last place in the NFC West would happen to be the Arizona Cardinals. They're starting a rookie quarterback in Kyler Murray. They're 0-3-1 on the season after tying the Detroit Lions, coming back from a 24-3 deficit to tie that game, pushing into overtime and end up with a 27-27 tie in the season opener. They've lost 3 straight, albeit to quality teams in Baltimore, Carolina, and Seattle. Is it simply a team with a tough schedule going through some growing pains with a rookie head coach and a rookie quarterback? Or is it a situation where Cliff Kingsbury is showing he had no business being a head coach on the NFL level as of yet?
Well, listen, I think the latter remains to be seen. Although they're winless right now, but Stephen A., the one thing we said coming into the season In regards to the Arizona Cardinals, they are one of the worst offensive lines in football. And I know everyone talks about the air raid system that Cliff Kingsbury brought from college and how it's supposed to, quote-unquote, revolutionize the game and supposed to be all fun to watch. But, listen, I always said football is at its core is very simple. You got to block, you got to tackle, you got to throw it, and you got to catch it. Well, guess what? The Arizona Cardinals don't block very well. And Kyler Murray is on pace for like 80 sacks this year. You think a guy the size of Kyler Murray will be able to last taking that many hits? It won't happen.
Damien Woody right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Let's stay within the conference that is the NFC and talk a little bit about what's going on in the NFC North. Even though the Chicago Bears and the Green Bay Packers are ahead in the division, and the Detroit Lions are clearly coming because they look relatively impressive. I don't think anybody could deny how they've looked thus far, 2-1-1 on the season, while Green Bay and Chicago both find themselves at 3-1. The Minnesota Vikings are 2-2. They look like a shell of themselves. You got the wide receiver Thielen calling out Kirk Cousins. You got Kirk Cousins going on his radio show to apologize to Thielen because of missed throws and what have you. And now, if you go to NFL.com, I don't know if you saw this, Damien Woody, Stephon Diggs, one of the better receivers in the game, has got the Minnesota Vikings declaring he's not going anywhere. They're not going to trade him. But he took off from practice yesterday. He wasn't feeling well, even though he was nonspecific about why that was. And then when asked point blank upon his return as to whether or not he wanted to go, is it truth to the speculation that he wants to get traded, he said, quote, "There's truth in all rumors," failing to elaborate, okay? So my question to you would be this. What the hell is going on in Minnesota? And now you got not one, but two receivers openly expressing their frustration with the team when we good and well know it's really about their frustration with Kirk Cousins.
Well, listen, Stephen, the Minnesota Vikings gave Kirk Cousins a 3-year, $84 million fully guaranteed contract.
Yeah.
And with that $84 million guaranteed contract comes expectations. Now, I will say this. Anyone who's watched Kirk Cousins throughout his career can tell you he can put up some gaudy stats. But name me one signature win. Name me a signature moment, with Kirk Cousins. There aren't many. Okay, so this is not a guy that's been out there in his career thus far and has had these, big, huge moments on the big stage. He's just not that type of quarterback. And Mike Zimmer, the head coach, he wants to run the football and play good defense. Well, hell, if you're paying your quarterback that type of money, he needs to be able to help elevate your offense. And I think you're seeing a lot of frustration on a couple of receivers who they pay big money to.
Well, let me read the exact quote to you because when he said, "There's truth to all rumors. I won't be speaking on that." And then it says, when Diggs was also asked point blank if he wanted to be dealt, he said, "I said there's truth to all rumors. What I mean by that, there's a lot of speculation of me being frustrated. Of course, being a receiver and wanting to have success and wanting to win. If you're not winning, of course, you'll be frustrated." That's my answer. That's what he said. Now, my thing is, I've seen quarterbacks worse than Kirk Cousins, Damien Woody, that have not had receivers basically openly complaining about them. Yet Kirk Cousins finds himself in this position. What does that say to you about what's going on?
It just shows you the level of frustration that these players, that you're openly seeing it. Remember this, Stephen A. Okay? In a football locker room, the one thing that the coach that we always preach is what? Keep things in-house. And the fact that these things have come out into the media tells me that this is only about a quarter of what's probably going on behind the scenes, because you never let these things come out where guys are openly talking about it. So there's a lot of tension, a lot of frustration in that building. And this NFC North division might be the best division in football. So they need to get things going quick, fast, and hurry.
Let me go to a very generic perspective when I say this to you. We got Jalen Ramsey wanting out. We know the fiasco that Antonio Brown engaged in, wanting out of Pittsburgh and then ultimately wanting out of Oakland. You have Stephon Diggs now, who's not making a spectacle of anything at all, but clearly his frustration is not being hidden. You have some people as a result that are out there looking at the NFL product, seeing guys wanting out, being more verbal about it, so much so to the point where we've got a Hall of Famer like Steve Young declaring we're seeing NFL players become more like NBA players. As an NFL player, as a former NFL player, how do you feel about what you're seeing? Do you have any issue with it, or do you think it's justified?
Listen, Stephen A., I have no issues with it. I think what you're finally seeing from some of these guys, and I think this is a big point to understand here. You're talking about a league of 1,800 players, and there's only a select few guys that can actually do these type of things. Only special guys can actually pull these type of stunts. So I think what you're seeing is in the NFL, guys have seen what's going on in the NBA, and they're understanding their worth and their power, and they're trying to flex it. Again, you're only going to see this out of the elite guys, okay? The guys, middle tier guys, would never pull anything like that. But the elite guys know that they have power now, okay? And so in this structure, they understand that while I still have power, while I'm still one of the elite players in the National Football League, I need to take advantage of this, because when the tides are turned, you better believe that the owners are going to do likewise. They're going to flex for themselves. So I think just the players, they're seeing their own value even more so now than they probably have maybe 5-10 years ago.
Staying within the NFC, one more question. You and I got into it on the show, First Take this morning, which is every weekday morning from 10 a.m. to noon on ESPN, because you said you don't give a damn about anything, regardless of people out there sticking their chest out on behalf of Dak Prescott. You would not break the bank to keep Dak Prescott. Explain yourself and your feelings about this man right now.
Okay, let me preface what I'm about to say by saying this. Okay, as a former player, I want all players to get paid. Okay, make no mistake about that. Now, what I said on First Take, if I'm in a position in the team, why would I go out there and break the bank for Dak Prescott? Because to me, when I look at the Dallas Cowboys, I see a team that has surrounded Dak Prescott with all the tools and all the toys that he needs to be successful. He has the elite running back. He has the elite offensive line. I traded a first round pick for Amari Cooper. Okay. Gallup is a guy that I drafted and developed opposite Amari Cooper. I've drafted and developed all those monsters on the defensive side of the football. Okay, so when I look at the landscape of the Dallas Cowboys, I see a guy in Dak Prescott who I know he's limited per se, because he's not the type of guy that can put the team on his shoulders, a la your boy Aaron Rodgers, who's what you say, he's a bad man, right?
Yes, he is.
He's a bad man. Okay, and I use it as an example what happened against the New Orleans Saints. Now I understand everybody has their moments. I get it. But you're talking about a team in New Orleans who's still a pretty good team, who was out Drew Brees, okay? One of the best quarterbacks in the National Football League, playing with a backup quarterback and using Taysom Hill and Teddy Bridgewater. And you mean to tell me if your defense held the New Orleans Saints without a touchdown and you still lose, isn't that an indictment on your quarterback who everyone is clamoring to make him the highest paid quarterback in the National Football League? That's all I'm saying.
And I guess what I'm saying in response is that the man has won. He's been to 2 playoffs in 3 years. He's won the division both times in 3 years. He's been an all-pro along that span. He's never missed a game. He's a model citizen. He's accountable. He's dependable. And on top of it all, the first 3 years, he had an offensive coordinator in Scott Linehan and a system in place that clearly catered to the run. You were devoid of a number one receiver, for crying out loud. Ever since Amari Cooper arrived as your number one, things have improved, and now you got an offensive coordinator who's going to be a bit more pass happy. So why would anybody surmise that Dak Prescott can't do something when he was never really asked to do it the way he's going to be asked to do it this year?
Well, listen, we're going to see. We're going to see. I know one thing. Everyone talks about the market and the market. The next player coming is going to set the market. I'm going to tell you who's going to set who's going to dictate that. The owners, okay, in particular Jerry Jones. I think it's kind of funny that Jerry Jones hasn't come out and signed Dak Prescott to this mega contract yet. I think Jerry Jones and company are in wait and see mode because they want to see, okay, if we're going to invest that type of money into the quarterback, I need to see what he's going to do with all these pieces around him this year. So they're in wait and see mode.
Damien Woody right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Who's the best quarterback in football?
Oh, it's Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes is the best. Patrick Mahomes is the best. Go ahead.
People talk about Patrick Mahomes like he might be the best quarterback they've ever seen. Where are you on that?
I might tend to agree with that. I don't know if I've seen that skill set before in my life. I mean, the things that Patrick Mahomes. Think about this, Stephen A. Patrick Mahomes didn't throw a touchdown. I think the Kansas City Chiefs still scored 30 points against the Detroit Lions.
Right.
Think how crazy that is. He did not throw one touchdown, and they scored 30 points. Okay? When they played the New England Patriots in Foxborough, when the Patriots didn't punt the ball one time, they only lost by 3. 3 points in Foxborough. Like, this dude, the things he's able to do week in and week out is amazing. And he's young. He's going to get better. That's the scary part about this whole equation. He's not even in his prime yet.
I'm looking at him. I'm looking at the fact that Tyreek Hill, who has been out since week 1 when he got hurt, has returned to practice. And I'm looking at the fact that the New England Patriots, who look very, very vulnerable and suspect on offense, Gronkowski's retired, Antonio Brown has been exiled, Julian Edelman's playing hurt, Josh Gordon is relatively inconsistent, and Sony Michel's not even averaging 3 yards a carry. I'm of the mindset that, to me, this conference belongs to Kansas City. I can't, especially with Steve Gostkowski now out doing their field goal kicker, who's out with the hip injury. I'm looking at Kansas City. I can't see anybody beating them in the AFC. Where are you at?
Stephen, man, I want to caution you, okay? I want to caution you because I don't want you to get caught up like your boy Max Kellerman, making proclamations, when it's this early. I want to caution you that the Patriots, and I've been with that organization for 5 years, so I know the team you see now is not going to be the same team you see around Thanksgiving. Mm-hmm. That's always been the goal with New England Patriots. They want to get better, and they want to transform by November because that's when meaningful games are really start being played. So this team, the way you look at them now, trust me when I tell you this, they're not going to be that same team come November. So I think we're in wait and see mode right now.
Damien Woody right here with Stephen A., ESPN Radio, ESPN News. Is it really a 2-horse race within the AFC and that's it? Or is it really, really about somebody else that we might not be looking at that we should look at in the AFC to compete with Kansas City and New England?
Listen. Someone could emerge, who knows what's going to happen with Cleveland or, with the, Los Angeles Chargers, different teams. But honestly, for my money, it's New England, Kansas City. New England, Kansas City is almost like the new New England, Indianapolis rivalry. Because it just seems like those two franchises are just a step above everybody else in the AFC right now. So until I see otherwise, it's those two, and then it's the rest of the pack.
Are we doing a disservice to the Los Angeles Chargers or even the Indianapolis Colts or even the Houston Texans by not putting them in the mix?
I don't think we're not doing them a disservice. We're just speaking fact. I'm just speaking matter of factly right now. I mean, when you look at the Patriots, their defense is dominating. The offense is still a work in progress. But I know when it comes to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick, they'll figure it out. They'll be playing much better as the year goes along. And with the Kansas City Chiefs, again, their primary weapon hasn't even returned yet. Imagine this offense when Tyreek Hill gets back. My God, it's going to be something to behold. So to me, those are the two teams in the AFC, and then everyone else is playing catch up.
Damien Woody, appreciate you, man. Looking forward to talking to you next week. You take it easy, all right?
All right, you too now.
All right, the one and only Damien Woody right here with Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News, 888-SAY-ESPN. That's 888-729-3776. Back to your calls in more in a minute. You're listening live to Stephen A. ESPN Radio, ESPN News. By the way, head to the Home Depot to find guaranteed lowest prices on top brand name appliances like Samsung, LG, and GE. Today is the day for doing. Just pick out the latest models from top brands and let the Home Depot